U of L men's basketball lost its sixth game in a row last night, and it wasn't even close. The Cards fell to Virginia, 80-64. Virginia Tech, I should say.
I don't care about anything other than who's going to fight to try to win a game. Talent level means nothing.
That was Coach Kenny Payne after the game. WDRB's Rick Bozich and Eric Crawford are here to break this all down for us. And guys, the future for Payne is looking even worse after this loss.
You're right, Fallon. It's a six-game losing streak, tying their longest losing streak of the season. This was the point in the season when they were going to play 4 of their last 5 games at home and possibly build some momentum, get to 10 wins and go into the ACC tournament and do something, but it's gone south, Eric.
Yeah, it sure has, and there's a lot of reasons for that. One of the big ones we've talked about before is that, negative momentum just kind of compounds on a team, and the weight of the season itself seems to kind of weigh on them. This is a talented team, though, more talented than he had certainly a year ago. There's 7 top 100 recruits on this team, so they're better than they've played, and that's the big concern for Kenny Payne and the big reason that we are all assuming at this point that we're nearing the end of his tenure. His last home game coming up, certainly the one we expect to be his last coach there in the KFC Yum Center.
Yeah, I know there was no practice today. Kenny Payne was in the office with some assistants looking at film. They still have 1 game to go on Saturday, senior day against Boston College. And that clip we showed of him, you could tell some of the frustration coming out in terms of not getting effort from players. And it really showed in the second half when he benched 3 starters. And Louisville actually played a little bit better with Zan Payne out there, Danilo Jovanovic was out there, Tyler Johnson, and he's just looking for guys who are going to give effort and give energy. But when you're in the first week in March and you're talking about effort and energy, that's not a good thing.
No, never a good thing. And we're going to have a lot of time to kind of go over what went wrong for Kenny Payne. He came in with a lot of promise, and people said, well, how could they hire a coach with no experience? Georgia football hired a coach with no experience, and Kirby Smart has worked out just fine. But Payne, I don't know that he ever seemed like he had a real plan, at least not one that players embraced. He had a first year with a lot of players that weren't his own. He didn't get off to a hot start recruiting. Some of the big-time talent we thought would materialize here on campus didn't right away. He got a good freshman class in there this year, and he got a couple of good transfers. It just wasn't enough in the end.
Yeah, and in both seasons, some really bad, things that happened in both years. You can't lose an exhibition game in both seasons. You can't lose a lot of these non-conference bye games where you give a school $90,000 to come in here and basically take a loss and not do it. And now this year, they only won 2 ACC games last season. This year, they're trending to only win 3. You can't go 5 and it would be almost 40 losses in the ACC. You just can't do that.
No, you can't. And if there was a blessing in all of this, I thought it would be if they got to close to the end, there would be no real dissension about what needed to be done. And I think there's a pretty good consensus right now that the experiment is over and they'll be moving on.
We'll have more coverage here at WDRB. Back to you, Gil and Fallon.
Rick, Eric, thank you both.